What's happening, y'all? You're now listening to Sporting Convos with Eddie and Mike. It's me, Mike. I'm here with my guy,
Eddie P. What's happening?
We're soldiering through for y'all on this Friday night. Tired. It's been a long week, a long year, but we're here and we're charging up, man. I know it's summertime, and that means sports is going to get kind of slow, but you'll have us to chill with this summer. So, hey, just, keep up with us, man. This episode, we'll be talking about the NBA Finals, classic ending the game 1 on Thursday night. We'll also be talking about the Commanders' OTAs and Aaron Rodgers. He finally landed where we all expected him to land for the last 2-3 months. But we'll talk about that later. I'm sorry. Eddie, what's happening with you, man?
Not a whole lot. Summertime, but the living is not easy right now. I do want to thank Mike, amongst many other people, for just helping me get through these tough times. My wife is recovering from surgery. As you may or may not know from past episodes, my wife is in the process of becoming cancer free. I don't know if that's the correct way to say that. Either way, this whole situation sucks, but she's a trooper, and she recently had a surgery to help with treatment, more or less, and it was just really rough. As Mike said, we're soldiering on. Random because there's not much on to watch. The Nats got the quickest win I think they've ever had. I think it was like 2 hours. 2 hours, maybe less. They beat the Texas Rangers 2-0. They're actually not doing too bad, but I only follow them kind of like on paper. I haven't watched the game recently, maybe at least a few days.
Since we're here, let's talk about them real quick. They're having the season I expected them to have, and I guess I'll compare it to they're having the type of season I expect the Wizards to have next year. A season where they may not make the postseason, but they're going to compete. Like, you'll see some growth. You'll see some potential bright spots. I know my man, what's his name?
James Wood.
The DMV native. Shout out to the DMV. Just been crushing stuff. I mean, crushing stuff at one point. So, hey, if we end the season knowing that we have James Wood and there's another young Bama,
CJ Abrams.
Not him.
Dylan Cruz.
He's kind of stepped. Dylan Cruz.
Yeah. Cruz is out with the season right now.
If we can end the season knowing that we have those 3 players and a couple of other position players to build around, I just feel like at this point we need the pitching. Like, I haven't watched the games, but I follow them all through my phone. And baseball is one of those sports where you can follow the numbers and pretty much won't miss the action. I mean, you'll miss the action, but the numbers kind of speak for themselves. And with Washington, the Nationals, it just feels like the pitching is suspect, man. They need to build up that bullpen for sure. But even the starters are kind of shaky. I think my man Noah Gray is still injured. I mean, not Noah Gray, Josiah Gray, I'm sorry. He's still injured. I haven't been hearing his name much this season, so I'm guessing he's still out. But, that's kind of my thoughts on the Nationals right now. I know we don't talk about them a lot, but and I don't watch them at all. Hopefully Masson dies a quick death, like they got that quick W tonight, and we can get better TV coverage for national games. But until then, we'll talk about them when we talk about them.
Yeah, the pitching's on the way. Lots and lots of young guys that are actually stepping in, making some plays, getting some early big league experience. And they're rising to the occasion for the most part. They just finished a series with Chicago, and if I'm not mistaken, I know they got at least one win. I think they might have gotten 2 out of the 3. Give me just a minute. I'm checking that out. No. Excuse me. I had that incorrect. They won 1 out of 3. So still, but Chicago's tough. Chicago's got some good guys. on their squad. Anyway, I brought up the Nationals winning real quick just to say that there's not really much on TV in the sporting world. So I got the Stanley Cup on, just checking it out. 3-2 Edmonton at the moment. They are playing the Florida Panthers, who are the defending champs. So
Shout out to Connor McDavid, man.
I really thought you were going
NHL.
to say McGregor. I don't know why. I
Nah,
just thought you were going to say McGregor.
I kind of almost did, but I stopped myself. The NHL did a horrible job showcasing this man's career. I feel like I saw a goal that this man hit where he shot the joint between his legs from behind. Like the stick went through his legs and he like wrapped it around his left leg to get the goal. Is the way I'm describing it is exactly what happened. Like, I'm not making it up. And I was like, man, that was an amazing goal. I wonder how long. I mean, I wonder when that happened this year. I went to YouTube, looked it up. That goal was 6 years ago. Ain't no way I shouldn't have known about that goal before. And I was like, the NHL was just horrible. Just absolutely
just
horrible.
Tied it up.
I thought she was about
Now
to say he scored. That would have been crazy.
Florida scored, not McDavid.
I know. I thought you was about to say that, but I don't really care too much for the Panthers, so we don't have to talk about them.
Hey, is what it is.
Let's talk about something a lot of us want to talk about. No disrespect to the NHL, but person for person, year for year, NBA Finals just draws more coverage. And last night was a perfect example of that. The Thunder. I'm not sure how much of the game you watched, Eddie. I only actually caught. Good, because I only caught like the ending. The Thunder, they led the game pretty much wire to wire.
Yeah.
They led the game for 47 minutes, 59 seconds. 49 minutes and 59.7 seconds. The Thunder was either tied or led the game. But the Pacers, man, it's the fifth time, I think, this postseason that they've won on a last-second shot in Game 1. And since you watched most of the game, I'll let you go ahead and describe what's going on. And when the end of the game happens, I'll jump back in, sir.
Okay, so, I mean, you got an OKC team playing at home, fired up. Their guy, Gillis Alexander, SGA, just make it simple on myself. I don't know why I try to be all fancy, say that guy's name. SGA was cooking early. He was doing his thing. They were playing well defensively. Lou Dort hit like 5 threes, I think, in the game, something like that. It just everything was clicking. But if I could try to easily describe it, if you think of like a long distance race, right? And now I'm only basing this off of this one old movie. It is a dope movie though. But most of the time you don't want to waste all your energy leading the pack. You want to be like maybe somewhere between like first and like fourth, something like that, right? So I say all that saying like it almost seemed like OKC was trying to keep up with Indiana, even though they had the lead, right? Indiana would chip away. I don't know why I said chirp. They would chip away, and then OKC would just come right back, make a couple of plays, and it just looked like OKC could turn it on whenever they wanted because they had a number of different guys that were hitting. They were playing team basketball, similarly to how Indiana does. But Indiana's was more of like a team basketball from an effort standpoint because a lot of the shots weren't going in. I will tell you one guy, which it amazes me how, like, I guess if you know basketball, you know about Obi Toppin. Remember he was like the number 1 pick a couple of years ago.
I don't know if he was number 1, but yeah, I remember Obi Toppin.
He was a really high pick, and he was just a dunker.
Very athletic.
That guy hit a number of threes for Indiana, and they were solid, like good form.
I heard he had a trash first half, though.
I mean, OKC was playing really good defense and swarming a lot of the time too, but Indiana's like a STD, man. They just won't go away. Like, you know what I mean? Like no disrespect. I don't say I
No,
I've
I
been that
don't
way.
know what you mean.
It just won't go away, man. That stuff stays with you. I mean it. Like, if you look at it, Halliburton, like you mentioned, has hit all these game winners. Well, they didn't go from getting blown out to, scoring a bucket that is the game decider or whatever that decides the game. They didn't that didn't happen without them chipping away and getting it to be close. And it's like this, like every series. You go back to the Cleveland series, they're chanting overrated, and he's just hitting bucket after bucket, he being Halliburton. You can go to the New York one where like he tried to do the Reggie Miller thing, but it turns out it was a 2, so it went to overtime, but they still won anyway. Look, it's almost like Indiana doesn't like they can't look at the scoreboard, or like they just don't know the score. And so they just keep playing at 100 miles an hour the entire game. And the fact that they kind of have a deep bench, which OKC is similar, but I mean, on paper, OKC is Indiana, but like Monstar style almost, in terms of they both are deep teams. They both hustle, play good defense, etc. But OKC has the more talented players. But you can't tell Indiana that. Not one bit. And you look at the confidence that they're going to gain from that. Like it's, they stole one now. Like that's the beautiful thing about playing on the road the first 2 games is you have the ability to steal one and now go back to your house and potentially go up a game or 2. Now, I understand there's still the second game in OKC to be played, but what I mean is you split one on the road there, you now have the ability to like be that much more motivated saying, hey, look, we now have this we have this advantage now to put the pressure on them, get these 2 wins at home, turn it into a 3-1 series. But, easier said than done.
So, real quick, it's funny, before the series, someone was saying that Rick Carlisle was going to present a problem that the OKC coach, who escapes my name, my apologies to him, will have to solve. They said that Rick Carlisle would present a problem that he'd have to solve in the NBA Finals. And it seemed like he might have created a problem himself. It was the first lineup change that OKC had in the entire playoffs, and it worked. They were up, 15 plus during most of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
So it worked. I don't see like how you could say it was a problem, but thinking about it, it's like, dang, did he psych them out before the series even started? Because OKC like destroyed Indiana during the season in both of the games. So I'm like, man, it just goes to show you how coaching in the NBA really matters, young. Like you can, like a coach's ability to affect the game can happen before the game even starts. So shout out to Rick Carlisle, and I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Remember the war 1812? Well, obviously you don't remember it. Like you
yeah, I was right there.
But in school or wherever you learned about it, because I don't even think I learned about it in school. Remember, I'm a high school dropout, y'all. It's like, nah, I am, but anyway, I'm also a college graduate, so I know, crazy, right? Anyway, the war 1812. At one point during the war, the British, Great Britain, they burnt the capital down, like destroyed the capital, and it's debatable on who actually won the war. But yeah, I just feel like on Sunday night, OKC is destroying Indiana in this war. Like it's going to be payback, basically, because remember, America just won the Revolutionary War, within the last 40 years or whatever, and Great Britain, they got their payback, basically, is what I'm trying to say, by destroying our capital. Like it just destroyed us. I'm sensing the OKC 20-plus point victory in game 2. I just feel like they're going to come out motivated, a little upset, laser focused, locked in. The home crowd will ensure that this blowout happens. I feel like.
So as far as the coaching goes, obviously we know who Indiana's coach is, Rick Carlisle, not just because Carlisle kind of rolls off the tongue. It's because he coached the Dallas Mavericks to a world championship. I don't think we need to say much there. I did look up Oki. That was a good one. I really messed up on that one. I did look up OKC's head coach. I believe it's Daigneault, Daigen, Daigneault. I don't know how you say that. But I would imagine Carlisle definitely has him beat in the experience department. So it'll be interesting. You think it's going to be a blowout? I don't know. I feel like Indiana might be in their heads a little bit now, with what happened, because OKC did everything right. It almost reminds me. Now, football's obviously a little more methodical, and I wish I knew the names of coaches, etc. I can only maybe name 2 players. So back in the day, this is when LSU was good, but they weren't. They hadn't won a national title. I think Nick Saban was either there or hadn't even gotten there yet. That ought to tell you how long ago this was. And they're playing Kentucky. Kentucky's beating them. Kentucky's at home. LSU keeps chipping away, field goal here, field goal there. They get a last-second play. Rohan Davies, the quarterback, he was a longtime backup quarterback for the New England Patriots. Rohan Davies, the quarterback, Devery Henderson, one of the receivers. He was a longtime receiver for the New Orleans Saints. They throw – it's not even really a Hail Mary. It was sort of a rollout. It was a deep throw. I kid you not, the same way you skip stones off the water, this guy's pass skipped off of 2 Kentucky players, almost converging like some kind of ballet stuff, and it goes right to Devery Henderson, who then runs into the end zone. In the end zone, like literally just on the outskirts of what would have been the out-of-bounds lines, is a ton of Kentucky frat bros. Kentucky was winning the game, and this was it. Like they were about to storm the field. That's what OKC was. They had this game locked. They were winning. Everybody there is going nuts. It was a whiteout. They had the white finals, playoff, whatever t-shirts. Everybody was going nuts. Like I said, Dort hit all those free throws. SGA, killing it. Guys they forced a ton of turnovers. They were just making plays. Everybody was getting in on the action. They could not miss. And then somehow, like I said, Indiana just does not go away. They just keep at it. And it's everybody. It's Naismith, Nimhart, Matherin, Miles Turner. Pat Siakam is definitely gets them a lot of their buckets. But it's guy after guy. McConnell comes in and gets them like around 10 or just under 10. But good minutes, like everybody, it's beautiful to watch in the sense that you have like all of these guys just playing basketball. There's not, this guy only plays defense. We want him passing the ball offensively. We don't want him taking shots at all. This guy's only a 3-point shooter, won't play defense. Those kind of things. Like, I can't stand that. Like, yes, I understand there are roles to an extent. No, I don't want Dennis Rodman to be shooting threes. I get that. Sorry to throw him under the bus, but you know what I mean? Like, there is some of that to an extent, but the fact that the Pacers are like, you don't know where the attack is coming from. It's like Vietnam. Like, just, they're in the trees. They're everywhere. Guerrilla warfare. Like, I kind of like it. I don't know who I'm rooting for in this. I just want to see good basketball, and I think we definitely saw that last night. Like, what an exciting game.
Same. I don't have a horse in this race. I've already conceded defeat with my Thunder take to start the playoffs. I said they were just one of those regular season teams that you see in the playoffs and they flame out in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. We could talk about all day their road to the playoffs. The Grizzlies, not nothing to brag about. The Nuggets, they went 7. So we can say, oh, they lost their coach before the playoffs. They had these injuries, yada, yada, yada. The fact is that they went to war with the best team, I feel like, in the Western Conference. At that point, that's who I felt like was the best team in the Western Conference. They went to war with them, and they survived. And then they quickly got the Wolves up out of there, who a lot of people said that OKC wouldn't beat. So as far as I'm concerned, they have already proved to me that they are a team that's capable of winning the championship, and I still got them in 6. I don't see any reason for me to not continue to think that they can take care of Indiana in 6 and win the next 5 out of the 4 games, especially since they dominated yesterday.
But see, here's where I'm at, and I think you kind of discount this because this is pretty much how people felt about the Patriots in their first Super Bowl. Not like their first as a team, but that the Brady Belichick era, all that. I mean, at least by all my accounts from back then, I think most people assumed the Rams were going to just dominate because they had Holt, they had this offense. They had been there before, a lot of those same team members. I think this is similar. I think honestly, what I talked about last week's show about like Shedeur Sanders, Brady comparison from like using the motivation of not being drafted where you thought was standpoint. I think Halliburton is sort of doing something like that, just him and the Pacers, because every series they, you know what I mean? Like the Cavs, I definitely thought the Cavs are going to get them up out of there. The Knicks had at least 2 of those games they should have won, and they just didn't close out. But that's a credit to the Pacers and playing the way I said earlier about things that won't go away. But they're doing what Shedeur Sanders has the opportunity to do, which is just continue to prove everybody wrong. So, like, this is exactly what they want. They got the win. Everything I just said, boxing, they took all of OKC's best punches, and then boom, right before that bell, got a knockout. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but the
I'm
mental
rocking with
advantage
your
that I think they're
explanation.
going to have, and then the fact that and I'm sure you're not the only one. I'm willing to bet everybody is probably saying, like, you know what, OKC is going to come out and just mollywop them the next game because SGA and Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort can hit threes. They got Case and Wallace. They Hartenstein, Caruso coming off the bench. They got all these guys. I agree. On paper, they look to be the better team, but that's just it. You don't know who on Indiana is really like. You got a few guys that you need to look out for, obviously, with Halliburton, Siakam, and Turner, but you don't know. Naismith might go off. Nimhard might go off. Anybody. So I think it'll be close. I don't know about this next game in particular, but I think the series will be close. I could see it going 7. No problem.
Yeah. Um, the new NBA All Star format. I don't know exactly what it is. I just know that it's going to be the world versus the NBA. Now, is it the world versus the NBA or the world versus? I mean, sorry, the world versus America or North America? I don't know that. Would you happen to know more details, or do I
The
need to do a
the
little
way
bit
I'm to
research?
understand it is it would be the world versus America. Now, I don't I don't know that the players would totally agree to this, because you still have to wait and see which players on either side would agree to this format. I mentioned I'm watching Stanley Cup. What the NHL did, and it seemed like the players bought in and liked it, is they did like I think it was USA, Canada, and then I can't Russia because majority of the players come from those countries. And then they did, I think the last team was like an assortment. I can't remember, but they did a couple of games. They did like a tournament style. It ended up being Canada and America in the finals. But they might have split it into like 6 teams. I think it was 6 because you got Sweden, Russia. Trying to think of what other country. Anywho, I don't know that the NBA would totally be down for that, nor the players. But if you think about it, you could have like Team USA, Team Canada. You could have like Team Spain. There could be a number of teams that you could actually have and play a very condensed NCAA or Olympic style tournament. I think that would be cool. Not saying the NBA is biting off of hockey, but as I mentioned, the NHL did have success amongst the players and the fans. And, if you think about it, it's more just the honor of making it. Back in the day, like, seeing the Kobe's, the Vince Carters, Kevin Garnett's, all those guys, even, that year or two when Jordan was with the Wizards and whatever, those guys still showed up. They kind of took pride in the fact that they made the All-Star. People paid to see, granted it was just a lot of alley-oops and then the game turned serious at the very end. But more so as we go into the future, it's become this thing of like a burden. One, it's a break from the games that people do want to watch, the competitive, teams trying to beat each other for the top seed or for just, a higher seed making the playoffs, whatever it is. And now, a lot of guys won't show up. So now you're not going to see, the real all-stars. You're going to see, second and third, understudy, backups, whatever. But I don't know. I think it's an attempt to try to shake things up. The funny thing is the last, like, I don't know how many MVPs have all been foreign born. But then if you look at the Olympics, like USA still kind of really dominates. Like in the end.
And that kind of leads. That's funny you say that because that kind of leads to what else I wanted to say about this. And it does look like it's going to be USA versus the world and not North America. The reason I asked because I just wanted to know if SGA was going to be on the team for us or versus the world. And so
he's Canadian.
But yeah, it's top heavy, man. The international talent is top heavy. When it comes to overall basketball players, the NBA, America is still king. It's an illusion. Just because Jokic is killing the NBA right now, it's not like everybody else from, where is he from?
Serbia.
Yeah, Serbia. Not everybody else in Serbia is capable of doing what he does. I'm pretty sure if we sent a few Americas to Serbia in their league, we'll take over. Same with any other country. Is there even any other Greece player besides Giannis that's even capable of doing the stuff that he's doing on the court right now? No. Not saying that they're trash. They're great basketball players, but compared to their brother, absolutely not. So it's an illusion, man. Like, if they want to see us in the All-Star game, they can come and get this work as far as I'm concerned. USA every day, even with the people that's running it. But that's another day for another story. Trying to figure out. All right, let's just get into it. Terry McLaurin did not show up to OTAs again. I think we talked about it last week. And this time a report from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports said that, what's the word? I don't want to say, upset. They said that McLaurin was upset with the way the contract negotiations are going so far. And we all know who Terry McLaurin is. Does that even sound like something that he would say? Now, maybe his agent, his camp may have leaked something like that or asked the reporter from Fox Sports to leak something like that. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, unless you hear from a local reporter like John Kime. That's the first time I said that in the years. John Kime, Nikki Javala, Ben Standick, shoot, what's my man name? Sam Fortier. Like, unless you hear it from one of them, like, whatever, man. Candy Barris, I forgot upper homegirl name. Like, unless you hear it from one of them, take it with the biggest grain of salt. Local reporters, they just know more. It's that simple. So when you factor in the fact that this upset report came out from a national reporter and it's contradictory to Terry McLaurin's character, what else are we supposed to do? We remember the same type of stuff happened when the contract negotiations happened last year. Now, I mean, not last year, but a few years ago. Now, personally, bro, and this is like a hidden secret amongst my family. I don't think McLaurin is the wide receiver one that we think he is or expect him to be. And it's not really his fault. It's just he has physical limitations that stops him from taking over games the way Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, name them, Mike Evans, name them. Like, there's a difference between the way they play games and the way McLaurin plays games. And while he's a great wide receiver for us, I feel like he's more of the perfect wide receiver too. And it just so happens that the situation he's in with Washington, he kind of deserves that wide receiver one, if you know what I'm saying. And I'll be happy if they pay or when they pay him the money that they'll pay him. But if things do go south, I'm just telling y'all, don't panic. It'll be okay because we have Jaden Daniels.
Well, I don't know about the reports being accurate about him storming out, or I think the thing was that he was at practice and then he left. At least that's what I was hearing via Grant and Danny, my very reliable sources. I think the whole thing sets a bad precedent. You want to get this taken care of early. And, for all we know, too, maybe he's not there, not just from the, negotiation, like this is what happens when you're holding out, but maybe he just doesn't want to have to answer those questions and create a distraction either, because let's face it, that's a Terry thing. That's something he would do. I just, like I said, I think it sets a bad precedent. You need to pay that man. I get that, you have to, do your due diligence and make sure that this is something that doesn't put you in a hole down the line. And I don't totally disagree with what you're saying about the wide receiver one thing, but I think for the way they use him, and then, if the Debo thing works out, I think you'll see where he really can become that guy. Now, I get it. You're saying if he is that guy, then it doesn't matter who's on the other side. He's going to eat the way like a Jefferson, Jamar Chase, even guys that didn't go to LSU. I get it. Anywho, I think you need to pay that man, because you see somebody who has put in the work, someone who is a team guy, someone who stays out of trouble, someone who is just you checking all of those boxes in terms of a teammate, in terms of effort and production, especially this past year. Now that we have a quarterback, how many double-digit touchdown games did he have? Yeah, like at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 even. And some of those were like pretty clutch. I don't know. You got to pay him. I think him not being there, it can be disruptive from the standpoint of not just guys, they know why he's not there, but then he's not getting in those reps he might need. It's just, there's a lot, at least in my eyes. I mentioned it last episode. I also kind of, it's voluntary right now, but Tunsil and Lattimore, I'd like to see them there just to, it's a new team for Tunsil, get, kind of familiar with the boys. You know what I'm saying? Lattimore just trying to create some
I
good
don't know.
creds, because
Maybe I'm different, but because everybody's saying like they wish they were there so they can communicate with this and communicate with that, get on the same page. And I'm like, even if they miss mandatory minicamp, which I don't expect them to, I expect Lattimore, Tunsil, and McLaurin to be there because who wants to give up $40,000 a day
yeah,
to not do your job or whatever? But I don't know. I'm just saying, if I'm like, maybe I'm thinking too highly of myself or whatever. I don't know. But if I'm practicing or if I'm training or something for a job away from my peers, maybe it's the introvert in me. I don't think that they'll be less than if I'm around or not around, especially knowing that at some point I'm going to be working with them, whether it's in June or June 6th or July 31st. At some point, we will be in the building together, and maybe you could say, "Oh, but you lost time, or you could have did this, or we could have did that," or I could say we could have butted heads in June or whatever because of how something might have happened or whatever. So we could talk about these what ifs or whatever, but I'm like, look, ballers going ball, and it don't matter because people keep talking about Debo and Sam are still practicing, going over stuff after practicing and saying McLaurin should have been there, or what if McLaurin was there? He wasn't there. He wasn't there. And it's okay because Debo and Sam still was there and they'll be better off. And if he was there, it would have been cool. But him not being there, he'll be there eventually. They'll have the same situation, the same scenario, and I feel like they'll be able to get on the page just as quick in July as they would if they were to meet in June. And that's all I gotta say about it.
Well, no, but that's just the point, though. Is like he should be there, but he's not, and everybody knows why. It's because they need to pay him. It's not anything about
Nah,
like,
but the same with Sam still. I mean, not Sam still. The same with Lattimore and Tunsil. Like I know they're new, and it would be nice if they can get on the same page. But I'm gonna say this. I'll use it in a personal situation. The GM at my job right now, he didn't start until 4 months after I got there. They were trying to hire somebody, they could never hire him. The position just kept turning over. Once he eventually came, I started in April 2023. He started in August 2023. Once he eventually came, would have that been nice to have those first 4 months together? Yeah, I would agree. But I didn't have him. But it's not like in those first 4 months before he got there, I was just sitting on my hands like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and that. I started cooking as soon as I got in that depot.
no,
Like, how was it waiting?
not the same
Like,
thing.
ball. I feel like it is, man. Like, Debo isn't going to be less of a player because McLaurin and Tunsil wasn't there. Sam Still and Amos won't be less of a players because Sam Lattimore wasn't there. Especially since they still have the coaches there too. Like people acting like the coaches won't coach or whatever, man. Like I understand the problem, but
It's
I just
just
feel like
it's like this: like the early bird catches the worm, right? So if you're getting your body used to like doing those kind of things, then I feel like you're less likely for injury. Tunsil's with a new team. I'm not saying like he's dumb and can't learn a new system or anything, but the sooner you start learning a lot of that stuff, the easier it clicks. Not to
but
mention
do
like building that
but are they
rapport.
not talking to the coaches right now?
I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I'm not trying to
I'm
like
just saying
like I'm just completely oblivious,
with
but
the way technology is and the way people
that's
operate or the way people I
not.
think athletes are wired, I don't think it's a is it a deal? Sure, but it's not a big deal.
It's fair enough. But I mean, Tunsil, yeah, but like I mentioned this last show, it's just with Lattimore with being hurt and then kind of not performing the way we thought he would and went and got him. I just think it would be kind of, like some little brownie points, on like earned by him. Because the one good thing is, I think was it this year he's got this year, and then next year's a contract year. We can just cut him, and we don't have to
Who,
pay.
Lattimore?
Yeah,
Yeah, Lattimore. We can do that with. We could do that with Payne. We could do it with Tunsil. I wonder if like that's the strategy of football teams now. They try to get players in the contract years as quick as possible to have them ball out. Um,
yeah, maybe.
speaking of Payne, um, both Witt and Quinn specifically mentioned him when
Yep.
talking about players that perform or that are showing up or standing out during the mini camp. And y'all know that's my guy. Like people that's been following me before Eddie and Mike know that that man Payne, that's been my dude since we drafted him. I've always liked him more than Allen. And I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Both as a player and a character, I always felt more. I always related more to Payne than Allen, even though Allen from the DMV. I ain't picking sides or nothing. Well, I guess I am picking a side. But when they were fighting on the sidelines, I blamed Allen.
Somehow
I got
it's
straight up
false.
blamed Allen. But nevertheless, I hope he has a great season. I don't see why not. The last time he was in the contract year, he had 11.5 sacks. I'll set the over under. I'll set the over under at 7 for the season. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. But as far as that other Commander stuff happening, Trey Amos is looking good. Daniel's looking good. They said Krosky Merritt, the rookie running back's the fastest player in camp. That's nice
Okay.
to hear. That's about it. Oh, Quan Martin was another player that people were talking about. And I can't. Let me. I'll end our commander talk on this, and maybe I'll upload this on social media. Nah, no, I'm not. I'm not because I don't want to talk about the NFC Championship game too much anymore. But I'll ask this question real quick. You think if Noah Brown plays in that NFC Championship game and he's catching the passes that Diami caught, do you think the game goes the same way, or does Washington stand a better chance with a more secure-handed player?
Who did you say? You said Debo instead
No, I
of
said Noah Brown.
Noah Brown?
Yeah,
I don't know. Because
hell no, Noah Brown.
I think Noah Brown could maybe like a little more on like the high point, with his size. But Diami Brown's clearly faster, right? And I think that to a degree played a factor. Like it plays a factor in terms of like scheme and everything else. I mean, granted, it didn't really help. We got kind of whooped, but no, I don't think so.
We got whooped and score only. I know that sounds stupid, but
Yeah,
like,
I'll say this though.
if you know, you know. I'll just say that. If you know, you know. I don't have to elaborate on that. Talk to your resident football expert that you trust and ask them how close was that NFC Championship game in reality. I digress. Um, Anything else Commander related you want to talk about?
No,
Or
I think we pretty much covered it.
trying to think. Um, Nothing else. Oh, joint practices. They'll
Okay.
be having joint practices with the Patriots and the Ravens this season. Not sure when the dates are. Not sure when the practices will be, where the practices will be, because we do play the Ravens in FedEx or Northwest Stadium this year. Last time we had the joint practice with them, we played them in Baltimore, so we went to their facilities. Apparently down in Ashburn, they're doing some construction right now. So, yeah, who knows what'll happen with the joint practices with the Ravens. Maybe they'll do it at a neutral site like Bowie State University or something. I don't know. That'll be fire. But anyway, last topic. Speaking of the Ravens, like I said in the beginning of the show, Aaron Rodgers, he signed with the team we expected him to sign with all along, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't even know what. I think it was a 1-year deal. Hopefully, it was a 1-year deal. No need to extend that longer than it needs to be. And I don't think it's enough to get them over the hump, bro. And like I said, we were just talking about the Ravens. That team is a powerhouse. It's only 4 teams, four-ish teams that I feel like can beat the Commanders in a game like more times than none or more than 50% of the time or whatever. And the Ravens is one of those teams or are one of those teams. And I don't think the Steelers did much to overtake them. I don't even know if they overtook the Cincinnati Bengals, to be honest with you. I think they're still the third best team in the AFC North, even with my man Aaron Rodgers, who, quite frankly, just isn't Aaron Rodgers no more. This ain't 2019. 6 years later, man. What are y'all talking about? So, as much as I'm happy that he's a QB1 again for my Dynasty League, I probably won't use him as much because I got Stafford and Daniels, and I just don't think he'll be throwing that much in either. So he'll stabilize the position a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah, there's a post floating around social media that said this is like getting with your high school crush, except she's 40 now and has 5 kids. And I almost tend to agree with it. If I'm being totally honest, I get that, the field was sort of tilted from the standpoint of like they were going to have a hard time drafting a QB. And they could have drafted Shedeur Sanders. Anywho, it seemed like that wasn't an option. Free agency wise, didn't really seem like there's anybody they really wanted. Kirk Cousins probably was going to cost way too much money. Might not have even wanted him either. But it's just very surprising that, like, I don't want to go out there and like vilify Aaron Rodgers. They did a deal with the devil, but metaphorically, like, they didn't do anything all off season, and maybe there was some sort of like backroom handshake deal that like had like we're going to draft you. I mean, not draft you. We're going to sign you all along, but this doesn't seem Steelers like the way they allow the player to kind of dictate here. Like, we won't make you come in for all off-season stuff, even though off-season hasn't totally started. Well, I mean, it has. Anyway, they're like, seems like they're letting him slide and all that. I imagine it's only a matter of time before Mason Crosby and Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb are all on the roster. Maybe even Clay Matthews, who knows? But it just doesn't seem like Mike Tomlin or Pittsburgh Steelers. Like this doesn't seem like their style. So I'll be really interested to see how this goes. You go out and get a DK Metcalf, then get rid of Pickens. Maybe there is a higher level of stability, but I feel like you probably would have got more production if you kept Russell Wilson. So there's that. But I don't know. I mean, he played in Green Bay for a long time. It's cold there, just like it is in Pittsburgh. So maybe that's going to work to his advantage. Maybe he'll have a couple of games that prove us wrong. I don't think it's going to be consistent enough to help or just help. You mentioned, I think the Bengals are going to have to win a lot of games via shootout. So maybe, they're able to get a win, maybe even 2 versus the Bengals, but they're not beating the Baltimore Ravens. It's just not happening.
It's not
Unless
happening.
like Watt somehow gets a hold of Lamar Jackson first of all and then injures him, maybe, because that's what it's going to be. You're going to hope that that defense, which is pretty damn good, you're going to hope that they do their thing. You get some production out of Najee Harris and I think is it Jalen Warren, the other running back. You're going to hope you get
And
like
they drafted my man
those
Caleb
guys.
Johnson from Iowa too.
Yeah. So
Another running
clearly they're
back.
going to do a lot of that. But at some point, they're going to rely on Rodgers, and you didn't pay DK Metcalf all that money to just have him block. So, but I don't think it's enough.
It's not enough.
It,
Shout out to my
what
man
it is,
Kendrick. Yeah, but it's not enough. It really won't be enough, and that's just in your division. We ain't even talking about the Bills, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. My goodness, the Broncos. Yeah, my goodness, the
they're a
Broncos.
sleeper.
The Broncos. The Broncos. The Broncos. The Broncos. Y'all in trouble. They about to sign
Broncos country.
y'all.
That's right.
But nah, shout out to Denver for real. And yeah, like it's scary hours for Pittsburgh right now. They are in uncharted waters because it looks like that consistency that they've been having since Chuck Noll. We're going all the way back to the 70s, y'all. That consistency is in danger. I don't think the next coach after Mike Tomlin is going to survive that long. Quite frankly, is based on how things are ending in the Mike Tomlin era. I feel like that Leicester of Pittsburgh is starting to run out, man. The Rooney family ain't Rooneying like they used to. They're going out of character right now with the things that they've been doing. And quite frankly, the NFL is forcing them to do that. They can't play the way that they used to do. They're going to have to find a Stiller Way 2.0 because 1.0 is starting to become outdated. And it is what it is. It's the ebbs and flows of the NFL, man.
Yeah, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe you and I are both wrong. Rodgers is all juiced up on holistic medicine and whatnot, and he just comes out killing it. Who knows? I doubt it, but you got to throw it out there. There's always a slight possibility. I mean, hopefully it's not like his Jets debut.
No, I'm not. I was shaking my head because you're talking about some holistic medicine and stuff like that. I mean, I know what you're referring to, but you're just lunching, bro. And that's honestly that's about it, y'all. We kept y'all for about 55-ish minutes, man, and we gave y'all some sports. If y'all have anything that y'all want to talk about, just leave us a comment. Hit up me or Eddie, or me and Eddie in the comments, and yeah, we're gonna holler at y'all later. Also, I'm brewing something special that could be coming out soon. I don't want to say anything because I'm still working on it. Like we're talking basement level that I'm working on. The foundation is nowhere near set. I don't even know what type of material I'm gonna use. Am I using the steel beams? Who knows? But something is brewing in the man of peace, and yeah, it could be coming soon. And I'm kind of excited. Been talking to Eddie about it, and we're gonna see what we're gonna do. But fear not, Eddie and Mike is going nowhere. We'll be here for a long time.
Yep.
And
we're slow.
That's all I got this week. I'm out.
Happy National Donut Day. Good night.